Ho, ho, ho. That makes 2 L's in a row for the Dallas Cowboys and a lump of coal on Christmas as the Dallas Cowboys fall to the Miami Dolphins 22-20. It's the post-game show in the trenches with your guy Bob and I. Man, the Grinch came and took Christmas from us early, Bob.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I'll tell you what, though, man, we gave that game away, man. The defense gave that game away, and our left tackle did just a tremendous job at giving that game away on at least 3 key plays. But we also shot ourselves in the foot with some stupid penalties, man. So it's business as usual with the Cowboys, man. Unable to get out of our own way.
Well, let's go ahead and let's get to the numbers. Right, we got everybody falling in. Let's go, baby. Where are all them Cowboy fans out there that's DC4L? You're not falling off in the bush like Homer Simpson memes. You know what I mean? That's 2 L's in a row. We still got to go through these numbers, baby. We got to get into the gym here. Take a look at these numbers. I mean, Tua, if I'm not mistaken, Tua looked like a pretty damn good quarterback out there today. Looked like he was getting that ball out pretty quick. The Dallas Cowboys had maybe 1 sack in the game, I think. Yeah, only 1 sack a game. Dak Prescott was sacked 4 times per game. I mean, both teams had over 300 yards of offense. We held them to 100 yards, but their passing offense, which they're number 1 scoring team in the league. I mean, the Cowboys defense just went missing, it seems like. No turnovers, only 1 sack. And really, that seems to be the difference in the game.
Yep. They did not put they didn't put Micah back there at linebacker. They didn't. They had him drop back, I think, on a couple plays that he didn't really have much of an impact in. But overall, yeah, he was taken out of the game again, and our defense overall just showed that they are actually not what we thought they were. Penalties hurt, but ineptitude and the ability to stop another team hurts even worse. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. That 1-yard fumble at the beginning of the game actually jump-started that L. I'm telling you, if we could have went down there and got some scores there on the beginning, I don't know what happened to Bob, where he went. He'll probably be right back in. But anyway, that's kind of different. Bob just hopped out of here. Let me get these scores back up on here so we can even out this screen right quick. There we go. There we go. But back to your comment there, Kelly. Yeah, that 1-yard fumble there by Hunter Lipke. A lot of Hunter Lipke, it looked like in the first half. Looked like Hunter was doing good until Hunter did bad by dropping the ball, baby. Yeah. You all right over there, Bob?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. We're good.
Oh, good. Yeah, I agree. That 1-yard fumble did not help. Kind of set the tone for the whole game, you know. I was like, damn, is this a sign of things to come? But I think Kelly is tapping the nail right on the head there, as that was the only, if I'm not mistaken, that was the only turnover of the game. Yes. That fumble right there, and that made the difference, because if Cowboys could have scored right there, maybe this game might have not have been as close as it had been. But Dolphins out there, their first AFC, they've clinched now, going to the playoffs. They've done that against the Cowboys now. They've made the playoffs now. I don't know how many years it's been, but they beat the Dallas Cowboys today, helped them clinch a playoff berth. That's 2 L's in a row for Dallas. That hasn't happened in over 2 years. So for all the Eagles fans that are coming up on here saying, well, ho, Cowboys about to be 3 in a row. No, you about to fuck around and be 4 in a row. The Giants still got to play y'all twice. So if you're an Eagles fan over here chomping at the bit, I would just quiet down, because 3 is definitely more than 2. And with the NFC East being at stake, the Dallas Cowboys not winning out, that is a particular point that is going to hurt us too when it comes to winning this division. Say the Eagles win out. That's the difference of playoff seeding and all of that. I just didn't like the game at all. It was very ugly. There was some couple of questionable calls in there, but the Cowboys had plenty of opportunities, and we were fortunate too there as well on that 4th and goal, I think it was, right? And that Turpin call, and we got bailed out. And then Dak ended up throwing that second touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks, which was an awesome grab. But we had our chances. And, again, the defense just not showing up. I'm starting to wonder what happened to this pass rush, Bob.
That's what I'm saying. You know, we have all these statistics we throw out, like they haven't beat us in 20 years, all this. All it comes down to, man, is that, you know, when you have players that you've lost at the end of the season, things are going to go bad for you. When you are on a roll of not stopping offenses that run well, then this is the thing that's going to happen to you. We got exposed against Buffalo. I'm surprised they didn't run all over our ass today, if I'm being honest. But when it came time for them to seal the deal at the end of the game, that's when they ran on us. And we couldn't do a fucking thing about it because we are the worst against the run.
Yeah, Tua was getting that ball out quick under 2.5 seconds, so that pass rush wasn't getting there. But Kyle brings up a good point. Absolutely horseshit holding fucking Micah all goddamn game. I mean, yeah, we seen the pictures. We posted one of them here. They're just not calling it. I'm starting to think teams are just saying to their offensive line, just hold Micah, and if they call it, they call it. We'll live with it. What you think, Bob?
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, when it comes to these officials, I don't even fucking care anymore. I mean, we can't. If that's part of the game now, then I don't even know what I'm cheering for. You know, like there was a few that they probably shouldn't have called for us. A couple they definitely didn't call against. I mean, I don't know, man. Whatever.
My guy Francisco's tapping in says Cowboys are frauds. We need to check ourselves before we bash on the Eagles or anyone else. First of all, fuck the Eagles. I don't care if we're 0 whatever. Francisco, that's how I feel about the Eagles. So I don't care about, yeah, we could call ourselves frauds on the road, most definitely, where we can't seem to win. I mean, that's evident now. That has affected this Cowboys and losing 2 games in a row, our inability to win on the road. So, yeah, it's still fuck the Eagles all day, every day. I don't give a damn if we win it or not. Shaq Dillis tapping in says, this playoffs preparation, we got to stand up, be more offense and defense. I don't know. I mean, both offenses had over 300 yards. I just think that fumble there was the difference. Only turnover in the game. If the Cowboys score there and we continue to trade scores, I mean, it was a battle of field goal kickers. My guy Anthony says, number 11 ain't shit with his talking ass. Oh, wow. All the disrespect now coming on Micah Parsons. Yeah, look at it, man. We're going to see a lot of Dak haters turn into some Micah haters, it looks like. But I'm seriously questioning, you know what I mean? The holding on the Cowboys, like that photo does not lie. And on top of that, the roughing the passer that was called on Micah Parsons, like it looks like some of the refs had some of their fingerprints on this game, whether folks want to agree to it or not. However, like I said, the Cowboys did come out. They had a couple of calls called our way too. We got little benefits there as we take a look at the overall numbers. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the numbers. Dallas Cowboys penalized 6 penalties, 38 yards, 5 penalties, 33 yards. Not a lot of penalties. It's just when the Cowboys seem to get them. I mean, they seem to be the most disciplined team at getting a penalty at the right time and the right place. I mean, did you even see Mike McCarthy over there on the sideline being like, fuck?
Look, this like we said, man, this defense is predicated on the fact that we are going to be playing ahead. That the offense is going to be trying their best to throw the ball and do all this shit in order to try and catch up with us. We haven't been getting ahead. That fumble at the beginning of the game did set the tone because if we would have scored, then our defense would have been playing differently. Not to say that Tyreek Hill wouldn't have been burning us, but we would have been able to play a different kind of defense where that's to our strength. But it hasn't happened.
Mike McDaniel figured that out as they didn't run over 100 yards on us here today. That was one of the keys to the game. They actually only had, I think, 90 some odd yards. How many they had? Only 91 rushing yards, but it was the quick passes to the outs. I mean, we were giving Tyreek too much cushion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving them guys 12, 15 yards cushion. Like, I understand we don't want to get burnt, but we gave up so much under that it affected on the field position. And you're right. I think Mike McDaniel called it at the right time. But folks is mad at Micah, boy. Look at it. Anthony said, fuck Parsons' ass. He ain't worth no contract. Well, I don't know about all that. I mean, the dude pretty much leads the league in pressure. So, I mean, somebody going to give him a contract. I can understand, Anthony, you might be upset, but Micah is probably in the top 2% of players in the league, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So that would be asinine not to give my guy a contract. Yeah, that fumble, Chris, lost us the game. I told you coming into the second half, one of my halftime rants, the halftime champion was we needed to turn this team over in the second half. We weren't getting pressure. We only got to 2 at one time. That was on a key play. But outside of that, no turnovers and no pressure. That's the difference in the game when a guy can sit back with 12 to 15-yard cushion up underneath and just pick us apart and then run the ball at will when they needed to when it mattered most. Kyle's tapping in says, that was Dak's fault on Lupke fumble. What's your thoughts on that? Was it on Dak or was it on Lupke, Bill?
You're going to have to go 50-50 on that one. I'm not going to go back and watch this stupid thing, but I know that I saw that someone handed a ball off to somebody who didn't fully get it. The ball hit the ground, and nobody on our team dove for it. It was
I know Dak haters is gonna blame Dak, but like I said, Hunter was getting some run in there. There was 2 or 3 calls we handed off there to him on the fullback position. It was good to see him power backing down there, but man, when they got down there on that goal line and fumbled the ball, like my girl Kelly said, I just think that set the L off right there. You're right, Henrietta. We better figure it out. Now, this I can get with on Francisco. He says, Udoga is trash. Never put him in. Dak was running for his life and getting sacked. Yes, Tyron Smith being out was a definite game changer, and Udoga was out there. I don't know. He just letting folks got off the line. It looks like Chubb there untouched a couple of times. And that was on
3 times.
I saw Ferguson, I understand that time. But Udoga was getting whipped around there too. Like, how do we just let folks come off the line and not be untouched and get to the quarterback or to the running back? It is just – it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I saw him on 3 occasions go and help a double team on that the guard had already picked up that he did not need to pick up and just whiffed on Chubb. I mean, it's infuriating, man. It's fucking infuriating, man. In that way, it's like, we cry about all this depth that we have and how all these teams, we go into the playoffs having to have this depth so that when we incur these damages at the end of the season, it doesn't feel as bad, but. Look, man, if I'm being honest, man, I feel like we've been held hostage by Tyron Smith for at least 3 seasons now. We are not making any moves, and the one person we decided to draft in order to replace him, we just made him a left guard.
Things that make you go, as Greg is compounding injury upon insult. Lupke lost that game for us today with that fumble. You felt the tide shift after that. Then the defense and the penalties kept us back. Yeah, that fumble didn't help us, man. I mean, that was a long drive in the first quarter. I'm like, man, we're having our way with the offense. Dak is getting down there. We got into the red zone. We turned these red zone woes around since the bye week. We get down there, and then we fumble the rock, the only turnover in the game. And go figure, Miami capitalizes. That's definitely the difference as the Dolphins clinch their playoff win today. They get their playoff berth over the Cowboys with that win, 22-20 at home, where they are also good at home too. I know it doesn't help the Cowboys on the road, but, man, I'm a little concerned, baby, because we get into the postseason playing like that, Bob. I think we're going to be one and done, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, shout out to Ken Mann. Shout out to Brian Parsons. Shout out to all the folks that I know that grew up in Miami that are diehard Miami Dolphin fans. A good win today. Yes, indeed. It's one of those things where it feels to me like if we're not at full power, then we're not going to win a game. And also with this Lipke thing, I can't take too much away from that dude. He's a guy who has always basically been a blocker. He's a fullback to block. They started doing that throughout the game, and he was picking up some great blocks when he wasn't handling the fucking ball. I like what they did. That could have been a fake, though. There's also a couple times I think Dak could have ran it when he didn't. It was just a real weird off game today. And Miami came out ahead because they knew what they needed to do in order to beat us, and they did everything they did. Dallas's defense couldn't stop them on their drives. It was horrible.
Well, I mean, last week the Bills, over 200-some yards rushing on us. They didn't get 100 yards rushing today, but I think the big difference was Mike McDaniel's adjustment with Tua getting the ball out a lot quicker. And if you seen when they did run the ball, they ran it away from Micah Parsons. Now, we understand Mike is probably getting hold out there on every play, but when you're smart enough to run the ball away from the best defender on the side of the ball, and I think somebody said they wouldn't give him a contract here, but when you run the ball away from that guy, that makes it look like he's not that great because offensive coordinators have figured out a way to scheme the ball away from Micah, depending on where he lines up at. And, Mike McDaniels is pretty good with the crayons and the blank sheets over there. He's one of the younger coaches in the league. And after all, this Miami Dolphins team was number 1 coming into this contest in scoring. However, the Cowboys were second. But, I mean, when we fumble the ball and give up the rock like that, when we should have scored, that would have been a totally different game. I agree. We get 7 right there. That's a totally different game. It doesn't end up 22-20, but nonetheless, it is what it is. My guy Ronnie's tapping in, says McCarthy looked like he was constipated the whole game. Ugly game for the end of the season. Yes, that was the second key to victory, was getting this Texas Coast offense rolling. Now, we had that big chunk play with CeeDee Lamb. We had a big chunk play with that guy Jalen Tolbert up there. Outside of that, I think each team had 3 explosive plays today, even though they both had over 300 yards of offense. But, man, it never seemed to click on this offense. We had some 3-and-outs in there today that were questionable, giving them the ball back and especially deferring in the first half. I think that bit us in the ass. the second half. Anthony says, I'm fucking tired of hearing Parsons. Yeah, you're going to hear him this week on the podcast. You know, you're going to be talking about getting held. You can already figure that out.
Well, you know, when you don't execute, shit happens, man. That's just the way it is. We just weren't able to. We haven't been able to really execute in a little bit, man. I mean, it feels like we did everything we needed to do to beat Philly and make them look like shit, which we did. And then they went on a slide, and we kind of went with them.
I agree with you, Kelly, 100%. Dan Quinn needs to enter the chat so he can be held to the fire. I agree because we didn't see any offense or defensive adjustments in that second half in the Bills when we kept getting carved up. And today we didn't see any adjustments by still giving up 12 to 15 yards cushion on these speedsters. I mean, come on now. We're going to have to play up. We got to figure something out, but giving up all that under. I'm with you, Kelly. DQ, 2 games in a row now. This defense not doing much. I mean, where has this defense gone? This is not the defense of Dan Quinn. I don't know. Maybe the rumors of him coming back up to Seattle as a head coach if Pete Carroll leaves, maybe that might start to get a little bit louder this week, Bob.
I mean, it's possible. We do good things against bad teams, and we played somebody today that was pretty much another mirror match with us, and we came out behind on it, man. It's I wouldn't say he's overrated. He still has this team playing for us. They're playing their ass off of what they have, but again, it's the scheme that we have. Our defense is predicated on us being ahead in the game, so they can jump routes and be more aggressive in the way that they play. And the last couple of games, we have not done that in any way. So
yeah, we're definitely not playing any complimentary football from the defense to the offense and to the special teams, pretty much automatic with Brandon Aubrey. My guy Chris says, if the officials, not really, that's on the Cowboys today. We had our fair share of calls. It's just when the Cowboys get penalties is the most critical part here. Is the Cowboys had 6 penalties for 38 yards. The Miami Dolphins had 5 penalties for 33 yards. It's not the amount of penalties, which now that puts 108 penalties for the Dallas Cowboys. They were leading coming into this contest as the leader in the NFL with 102 penalties. I'm not putting this on the refs, y'all, but it's when these Cowboys get these calls, it just seems to make the difference. It's like playing a lotto, like they win the lottery every time. I don't get it. Ronnie says, exactly right. I thought the same. Hold and take their chances. Talking about other offensive coordinators talking about Micah Parsons. I almost think offensive coordinators are telling their offensive linemen, their offensive line coaches, like, look, hold Parsons' ass. You know what I mean? They're not calling it. I know they're looking at the film too. It's just ridiculous, though.
Yep. It's some bullshit, man.
My guy Kyle says, it's Roger Goodell. He hates the Cowboys, plain and simple. I don't know how Roger Goodell had anything to do with that. I mean, the Cowboys had all the opportunities to win this game on the road. That fumble didn't help. That started it all off. Had we scored on that drive, we're probably having a different conversation here. But Steven's tapping in, says, now the Cowboys going to whip the Lions and the Commanders, and y'all fans going to get hyped again just to lose in the first round in the playoffs. Well, we know the Cowboys are red hot at home. We know we haven't been red hot in the road on the road, but the Cowboys definitely, I think it's a 16-game win streak that we got riding in as we got the Lions on the schedule next. That's 2 L's in a row for the Cowboys, not dominating in December, not putting ourselves in the driver's seat for this postseason. They could be really summing things up, getting this positions locked for these postseasons. Now, we did clinch, but the division is still up for stakes, and we've got an all-important game tomorrow between the Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. Ho, ho, ho. Because if the Eagles lose, things are going to get really interesting around these parts. I believe if the Eagles lose on Christmas Day, I think the Cowboys can win the NFC East. That's if we beat the Washington Commanders on January 7th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, Washington is definitely one of the most important games for us to win, but beating the Lions is going to be super important too.
Thank you, Nicole, tapping in right there. November, Gym Rat of the Month. Special shout out to my Green Badge right there, putting it down for the ladies. Says, our own fan base gets on my nerves. Yeah, it sucks, but we are still in. All we can do is just work to get better before the playoffs. I mean, it's late in the season, and them getting better, I agree with you. I don't know how much better they can get, especially defensively. I mean, the Lions are chomping at the bit. Dan Campbell, former player for the Cowboys, coaching the Detroit Lions. They're coming in looking to spoil the Dallas Cowboys 16-game win streak, especially as Jimmy Johnson will be slated to enter to the Ring of Honor. You can't forget that. That's all coming up on December 30th before the new year. The Cowboys' last home game of the year. Are they going to get a win? Can we make it 3 in a row L's? I don't want to catch the Eagles. So hopefully they lose tomorrow, make it 4 in a row. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious if I'm being honest. But, winning at home is what we do. I think we've got to worry about the Lions because they have a pretty sick running back too. So they've got the ability to run like crazy. And, I don't know. What do we have to do in order to win in the playoffs? Do we have to play somebody who doesn't have a great run game? I mean, it seems like everybody in this league has a great run game other than us. Well, we definitely got to come up with that.
Well, definitely Cowboys could not get the win on the road. So the first key to victory was to hold them under 100 yards. They did that. Second was to get this Texas Coast offense rolling. We did have over 300 yards. Dak did pass for 2 touchdowns. I thought he'd go for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns a day, but that didn't happen. Even after we got down, it was a battle of field goal kickers out there. And then the third and final key to victory today, which did not happen, would have been the discipline factor. And the discipline factor definitely put the nail in the coffin with the Cowboys' 6 penalties, those timely penalties, and that fumble on the goal line. That just tells you how close NFL games are between a win and a loss. But I know Miami Dolphin fans are happy. I know the city of Miami is happy. But, I mean, Tyreek still got to deal with a lot of stuff, too. I know he got some things going on in the court outside of the game. I was hoping maybe they'd get into his head a little bit about that, but that didn't happen. But, man, the Dolphins, 22-20 over the Cowboys. Before we get out of here, last-minute questions. Oh, by the way, storm up in the comments. What are your thoughts as we look to the Detroit Lions on the schedule next, Bob?
Hopefully Hankins is better, and hopefully Tyron Smith is better. And hopefully Dan Quinn is better. And hopefully Mike McCarthy gets his head out of his ass because he's the most inconsistent fucking play caller I've ever seen. I am so tired of seeing those fucking wide receiver screens and the zone runs that get us 2 fucking yards every time we run them because we can't block for shit. It's infuriating, man. And I thought we would get better at the end of the season, and we look worse than we did at the beginning. So I don't know. Against the Lions, we're gonna have to play tougher than they are, and they're a tough ass team.
Well, I mean, my guy Jason brings up a good point here. That is the number 1 offense in the league. And as we look at the Lions offense really quick, the defense still, though, no sack or 1 sack and no turnovers. It don't matter how good your offense is. I'm with you, though, Jason. But we still had to turn that guy over in order for us to win. But the Lions are currently 4th in offense, averaging 27 points a game and allowing opponents almost 24 points a game. So it's going to be interesting as the noise gets louder. The Dallas Cowboys can't win on the road. We can't beat teams above 500, below 500. I mean, you name it. The goalpost is getting moved this week. You can best believe it. But ho, ho, ho. Happy Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We got Christmas Day upon tomorrow. And can the Giants understand the assignment? You got any Giants fans tapping in here right now? Do y'all understand the assignment?
Yeah, you got to come up. Come on, guys. Do something, Giants.
Giants going to have to do something, like with that stick over there when they poke it and say, come on, Giants, do something. I'm with you with that, baby. Because the Giants beating the Eagles on Christmas will make everything a little bit easier for the Cowboys. But we have one more home game left. We have one more road game left, NFC game, January 7th against the Washington Commanders. And, I really don't like coming on here and doing these shows after the fact, but we got to, baby. This has been 16 weeks now. Bob and I have been committed to staying in the trenches with you here. So special thank you to all of the Green Badges that have been supporting the content. Thank you. Because without you, Green Badges like my guy Bob too as well supports the BDG content. These shows would not be possible. We hope that everybody out there has a happy and safe Merry Christmas Eve. Hopefully all you naughty fuckers, Santa will bring y'all something. Maybe the Eagles will bring y'all a lump of coal down the chimney. I'm hoping that's what it's going to be. I'll put that on my Christmas list for Santa is to make sure put a lump of coal in every Eagle fan's house, especially for Christmas. But his name's Bob. I'm BG. We've been in the trenches, baby. This is week 16. The Dolphins over the Cowboys, 22-20. Ho, ho, ho. That makes 2 L's in a row. I'm sure glad the Cowboys are headed home. We'll see y'all in the gym, in the trenches on the next episode.